Hello students, so here we are into zoology NEET class, and today we are going to start a new chapter, that is organic evolution. Okay, so we are going to start learning the chapter evolution from today onwards. Okay, see why this word evolution, this is a word which is given by Herbert Spencer. Okay, Herbert Spencer is the person who gave this word organic evolution. Okay, so this word organic evolution was given by Herbert Spencer. This word evolution means unfolding or revealing. Unfolding or revealing, this is the meaning of this word organic evolution. Okay, evolution means unfolding or revealing. Okay, so see students, here evolution in our sense means that is the study of the origin of life, the study of origin of life and the diversity of the living organisms, the study of diversity of living organisms on the earth is called as evolution. Okay, this is called as evolution. It is the study of origin of life and the diversity of the living organisms on the earth is called as evolution. Evolution is the study of life, origin of life and the diversity of the living organisms on the earth is called as evolution. Okay, so students, Dobzhansky, he said one thing about evolution. Dobzhansky, he said that nothing in the world makes sense without evolution. He said that nothing in the world makes sense without evolution. Okay, he said that nothing in the world makes sense. Nothing in the world makes sense without evolution. Nothing in the world makes sense without evolution. So this was a statement given regarding evolution by Dobzhansky. So he is actually trying to say that everything in the world is connected to each other. So origin of life and diversity of living organisms, these are all interconnected events. Okay, so for understanding any event we need to understand evolution. So nothing in the world is going to make us understand the concepts clearly without studying them in the light of evolution. Okay, so that is what is evolution. So students, in this chapter we are going to learn about different aspects related to the origin of life and the diversity of the living organisms on the earth. So first let us start this chapter by learning the origin of life only, how the life has originated on the earth. Okay. So today we are going to learn about the origin of life. Okay, see students, how is the life originated on the earth? How did this earth originate? How it's been how long that the earth has got originated? Okay, see after how these organisms have got originated on the earth. After their origin, did they undergo any changes? These are all very big questions which can be addressed only in the light of evolution. Okay, so students, we are going to study about the origin of life in this first chapter of this unit, evolution. So there are different theories which explain the origin of life. There are different theories which explain the origin of life. So let us learn what are those theories which explain the origin of life. Okay, so the first theory we have is the theory of special creation. Okay, so this is just a mythological theory. This is just a mythological theory which is saying that there is some special divine power which has created the life on the earth. So this is just a mythological theory, just a mythological belief by the people that there is some special divine power which has created the life on the earth. Okay, so this is saying that, so there is a special divine power which created the life on the earth. But this is not believed at all right now. Okay, this was just a very old belief, but it's not believed right now. Okay, then there is another theory which is called as panspermia or cosmozoic theory. Panspermia or cosmozoic theory. See, panspermia or cosmozoic theory is saying that life existed somewhere else in the universe. Life existed somewhere else in the universe, and from somewhere outside the earth, so from somewhere in the universe, life has come to the earth. Okay, so from somewhere in the universe, life has come to the earth in the form of some resistant spores called as cosmozoa or panspermia. Okay, so life has come to earth from somewhere in the universe, from somewhere in the universe in the form of resistant spores called as cosmozoa. Okay, that is why this theory is also called as cosmozoic theory. But this theory was also not believed to be the correct one to explain the origin of life. This is also not believed to be the correct one to explain the origin of life. Okay, so now the next theory which is explaining the origin of life is the theory of spontaneous generation, which is also called as abiogenesis. Okay, so the theory of spontaneous generation or abiogenesis is saying that the life has originated from the non-living material. This is saying that life has originated from the non-living material. Okay, like from the life has originated from the non-living materials like the decaying and the dead matter, like humus, dew, etc. Okay, like the humus and dew, etc. Life is believed to be originated from this dead and decaying matter. Okay, so see, how can anything which is living originate from any non-living? Yes, anything living, it cannot originate from a non-living, right? So according to this theory was proved to be not completely applicable to origin of life, but this theory was supported by Aristotle, Plato, Thales and Van Humboldt Okay, so these people, they have still supported this spontaneous generation or theory of abiogenesis. Okay, this is saying that life is originated from the non-living materials. Okay, like the decaying and dead matter like humus, dew, snow. Okay, from these life might have originated is their belief. This was accepted by Aristotle, Plato and Van Humboldt. So now let us see few more theories related to origin of life. So we have learned here theory of special creation, which is saying that there is some special power, there is some special divine power which has created the life on the earth. That's not correct. Okay, that's just a belief, but it is not now accepted by everybody. Panspermia or cosmozoic theory is saying that life has come to the earth from somewhere else in the universe in the form of resistant spores called as cosmozoa. Then the theory of spontaneous generation or abiogenesis is saying that life is originated from non-living material like the dead and decaying matter like humus, dew, snow, like that the life has originated. This was supported by Aristotle, Plato, Thales and von Humboldt. Okay. Let us learn now about the few more theories proposed regarding the origin of life. How these theories have evolved also we observe now. After this theory of catastrophism, theory of catastrophism was proposed. Okay, this theory of catastrophism was proposed by George Cuvier. George Cuvier proposed this theory of catastrophism. George Cuvier has proposed this theory of catastrophism. What is a catastrophe? Catastrophe means any natural calamity. It can be an earthquake and it can be a volcanic eruption. Okay, so anything which is going, or attack of any other foreign substance from the universe onto the earth. So this is all catastrophes, natural disasters. Catastrophes means natural disasters. So students, this theory proposed by George Cuvier is saying that catastrophes generally occur on the earth. Due to catastrophism, all the life on the earth might have been vanished, and again the new life is being occurring on the earth, and when again a catastrophe occurs, the entire life will be removed from the earth. This is explained by theory of catastrophism proposed by George Cuvier. Okay, catastrophes removed the life on the earth, and life again formed on the earth, which can be further removed by another catastrophe. Okay, that is theory of catastrophism. Then theory of biogenesis. This theory of biogenesis is saying that life can form only from the living organisms. Living organisms can be formed only from the living organisms. Okay, that is theory of biogenesis. Life forms from the living organisms only. Okay, life forms from the living organisms only. Only life can give birth to new life. That is theory of biogenesis. To support this theory of biogenesis, Louis Pasteur has experimentally proved this theory of biogenesis. He has experimentally proved this theory of biogenesis by his swan neck flask experiments. This person Louis Pasteur has experimentally proved this theory of biogenesis. Louis Pasteur has experimentally proved this theory of biogenesis by his swan neck flask experiments. Okay, that's about theory of biogenesis. But this is not explaining exactly how life has originated on the earth, right? So let us see the last theory, which is very clearly going to explain the origin of life. So this theory is saying that the theory of chemical evolution and biological evolution. Chemical evolution and biological evolution. Okay, so this theory of chemical evolution and biological evolution, which is also called as coacervate theory. Okay, this is the most accepted one. This theory of chemical evolution and the biological evolution, also called coacervate theory, is the most accepted one and practically possible one on the earth. Okay, so this theory was proposed by A.I. Oparin. This theory is proposed by A.I. Oparin and supported by J.B.S. Haldane. J.B.S. Haldane. Okay. So this theory, coacervate theory or theory of chemical evolution and biological evolution, is saying that On the earth, first chemical evolution of life has occurred. Okay, this theory is saying that first chemical evolution of life has occurred. After the chemical evolution of life, biological evolution of life has occurred. This is what is explained by the Quast-Arvid theory or theory of chemical and biological evolution proposed by A.I. Oparin and supported by J.B.S. Haldane. So, this theory is saying that first chemical evolution has occurred, after that biological evolution has occurred. Okay. So, chemical evolution has occurred from the inorganic substances present on the primitive earth. Okay. From the inorganic substances present on the earth, okay, from the inorganic substance on the present on the earth due to some physical forces, like lightning, UV rays. Okay, these were the physical forces which stimulated the inorganic substances to form the organic substances, Okay. So, from the inorganic substances in the presence of this physical forces like lightning and UV rays, organic substances were formed. These organic substances, they have accumulated and they have given rise to life. Okay. So, this is the formation of the organic substances and the occurrence of life is indicating the chemical and biological evolution of life. So, here chemical evolution is the formation of organic substances. Biological evolution means the formation of life from these organic substances is biological evolution. So, organic substances are formed, that is chemical evolution. Life is formed from the organic substances, that is biological evolution. So, in that way there are two phases in evolution of life on the earth, chemical evolution then followed by biological evolution. Okay. So, this is according to A.I. Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane. So, students, let us now study about how the chemical evolution and how exactly the biological evolution of life has occurred on the earth. So, now students, we are learning first about the chemical evolution. See, you know, the earth, it was formed nearly 4.5 to 5 billion years ago. Earth formed nearly 4.5 to 5 billion years ago. Okay, nearly 4.5 to 5 billion years ago only earth formed. Okay, so when the earth formed during this 4.5 to 5 billion years ago, this earth was very hot. The temperatures on the earth were very hot. At that time, initially when the earth was formed, the temperatures were nearly between 5000 degrees centigrade to 6000 degrees centigrade. This was the temperature on the earth when it was formed. 5000 degrees centigrade to 6000 degrees centigrade is the temperature on the earth when it is initially formed. After that, slowly the temperatures on the earth were cooling down. The temperatures went cooling down. Temperatures slowly cooled down. Okay, slowly, not completely, the temperatures, they were slowly going down. Okay, when the temperatures were decreasing at that time, some lighter substances like hydrogen, helium, carbon, nitrogen, they have floated and they formed the primitive atmosphere. These formed the primitive atmosphere. Okay, you see, hydrogen, helium, carbon, nitrogen, they were present, they formed the primitive atmosphere. Okay, so at this time, this primitive atmosphere, whatever was there, it was a reducing atmosphere. Because you see, here there is only hydrogen present, no oxygen is present in this atmosphere. Temperatures are very hot, no oxygen, only hydrogen is present. So this is a reducing atmosphere. Okay, so during this time there was reducing atmosphere on the earth. Okay, slowly Eventually what happened when the temperatures are going down? Water vapor evaporated, resulted in the formation of rains, which resulted in the formation of rains. Water vapor evaporated, result in the formation of rains. So, rains cause the formation of river, lakes, rivers, streams and oceans were formed on the earth. Okay, because of the rains, lakes, rivers, streams and oceans were formed on the earth. Okay, so along with this rainwater, so these organic this hydrogen, helium, carbon and nitrogen, they also went into the water. Okay, they also washed away along with the water. Hydrogen, helium, carbon, nitrogen, okay, they also washed along with the water. They were also washed with the water. Okay, so these substances, they actually, when they were in the atmosphere only, they combined with each other, forming methane and ammonia, Okay, so now when they are gone into the water along with the rain, so what happened in the water is, in the water the free radicals like CH minus, CH2 minus, like this free radicals were formed in the water. CH minus, CH2 minus, like this free radicals were formed in the water. Okay, so now in the water there are free radicals available, and here methane and ammonia were also present in the water now. So, these methane and ammonia, they reacted with these free radicals, resulted in the formation of some organic substances like sugar, simple sugars, okay, and amino acids, okay, such kind of substances like sugars, amino acids, fatty acids. So, such kind of substances were formed in the primitive water. Okay. So, later on these are the simple organic substances. Okay. These are the simple organic substances. Okay. So, the simple organic substances are all formed in that hot boiling water only. 5000 to 6000 degrees centigrade temperature was there on the earth. So, all these simple organic substances formed on the primitive earth in the high boiling water. So, with this water consisting of simple organic substances, it was called as hot dilute soup or prebiotic soup. This was called as hot dilute soup or prebiotic soup. Okay, which means that this water consisting of the simple organic substances which was very hot. So, it was called hot dilute soup or prebiotic soup. Okay. So, after that, from simple organic substances, the simple organic substances, they combined and they formed complex organic substances. Simple organic substances, they combined and they formed complex organic substances like carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids. Nucleic acids combined with proteins and also form nucleoproteins. In that way, simple organic substances combined and formed this different type of complex organic substances. Okay. Now, the organic substances are formed, that means this is the chemical evolution of life. Living organisms are made up of organic substances, right students? So, because now the organic substances are formed, the chemical evolution of life is now over. Okay. So, now we have to see how the biological evolution of life is occurring. From these organic substances, how the biological evolution of life has occurred. So, let us learn now about biological evolution. Biological evolution. Okay. So, there are two steps in biological evolution. The first one is formation of protobionts. Formation of protobionts. bionts, and the second step is origin of life. Okay, so these are the two steps involved in the biological evolution. So let us learn about first step, formation of protobionts. See now the first step, formation of protobionts. So these are actually some kind of raw materials for the formation of living organisms. Okay, so some simple or organic, complex organic substances were formed after chemical evolution, right? So these complex organic substances, they formed aggregates. They formed loose aggregates. Okay, loose aggregates of the complex organic substances occurred. Complex organic substances were formed. Okay, into these loose aggregates of complex organic substances, some free substances like the free genes were developed. Okay, free genes, they joined these loose aggregates. Okay, and after these free genes joined the loose aggregates, then what happened? Some substances which are having enzymatic properties, some substances having enzymatic properties were also developed to increase the multiplication of the macromolecules, to increase the rate of multiplication of these macromolecules. Okay, so this is formation. These are called as, now these loose aggregates of complex organic molecules consisting of these genes and enzymatic properties, all these are called as coacervates. They are called as coacervates. Now this phase, they are called as coacervates. These loose aggregates of complex organic substances, they are called as coacervates. Okay, so now from these coacervates, the living organisms are going to form. Okay, so let us see how these living organisms are forming. The first second step in the biological evolution is for origin of life. Okay, origin of life. See students, 4.5 to 5 billion years ago earth formed, right? So nearly 3 to 4 billion years ago, nearly 3 to 4 billion years ago, there arose, okay, there arose anaerobic heterotrophs. Anaerobic heterotrophs, they arised. Okay, anaerobic heterotrophs, in the sense anaerobic means they cannot produce oxygen, heterotrophs means they cannot prepare their own food material. Such kind of organisms have evolved. Anaerobic heterotrophs have evolved. So these anaerobic heterotrophs, they utilized the energy obtained from the fermentation of organic substances. They utilized energy obtained by the fermentation of the organic substances. They utilize the energy obtained by the fermentation of the organic substances. Okay, so students, these anaerobic heterotrophs, they were containing some small clusters of nucleoproteins. They were containing some small clusters of nucleoproteins, and they were containing 1 to 2 molecules of DNA. 1 to 2 molecules of DNA. Okay, clusters of nucleoproteins and 1 to 2 molecules of DNA they were containing. So slowly after that, what these were actually mostly similar to the present day prokaryotes. They are mostly similar to the present day prokaryotes. After that, slowly the organisms developed a carbohydrate synthesizing enzyme. Carbohydrate synthesizing enzyme. Okay, which result in the formation of the chemoautotrophs, which resulted in the formation of chemoautotrophs. Chemoautotrophs means they utilize the carbon dioxide and chemical energy. They utilize the carbon dioxide and chemical energy to produce the food. Okay, like for example, iron and sulfur containing bacteria. Iron and sulfur containing bacteria. Iron and sulfur containing bacteria. Okay, so after the formation of iron and sulfur containing bacteria, what are formed? Let us see. After this, these organisms, they by utilizing magnesium porphyrin from the water, by utilizing magnesium porphyrin from the water, these organisms, they prepared bacterial chlorophyll. They prepared bacterial chlorophyll. Okay. By the occurrence of bacterial chlorophyll, the evolution of non-oxygenic photoautotrophs were developed. Okay. Non-oxygenic photoautotrophs were developed. Okay. So, non-oxygenic photoautotrophs were developed, like for example, purple and green sulfur bacteria. Purple and green sulfur bacteria, they have evolved. So, here students, non-oxygenic photoautotrophs, in the sense they are not producing oxygen, but still they are utilizing light, sunlight, and they are preparing their own food material. That is, they are not producing oxygen, but utilizing sunlight and carbon dioxide to prepare their own food materials. Okay, that is non-oxygenic photoautotrophs. Then later on, the present plant like or the present blue-green algae, present algae like chlorophyll, present algae like chlorophyll appeared. Okay, chlorophyll appeared, which resulted in the formation of oxygenic photoautotrophs, like for example, blue-green algae, they have developed. Okay, like for example, blue-green algae, they have developed. In that way, students, the present chlorophyll has been developed, oxygenic photoautotrophs occurred, that means they are producing oxygen and preparing their own food materials. So, this oxygenic photoautotrophs increased in number, and they have converted the reducing atmosphere into an oxygen containing atmosphere. This oxygen has converted reducing atmosphere into an oxygen rich atmosphere. Okay. So, here by now the time is actually around 2 billion years ago. 2 billion years ago. All this happened nearly 2 billion years ago. Okay. So, in that way life has originated on the earth. So, 3 to 4 billion years ago, anaerobic heterotrophs were appeared containing clusters of nucleoproteins and 1 to 2 molecules of DNA, which were like mostly like the present day prokaryotes. Then carbohydrate synthesizing enzyme has developed, resulted in the formation of chemoautotrophs. They utilized carbon dioxide and chemical energy to prepare their own food material, like for example, iron and sulfur containing bacteria. Then magnesium porphyrin is taken from the water to prepare magnesium porphyrin is taken from the water by the organisms to produce the bacterial chlorophyll. It resulted in the evolution of non-oxygenic photoautotrophs. Example, purple and green sulfur bacteria evolved during that time. And finally, plant-like or algae-like chlorophyll appeared, resulting in the formation of oxygenic photoautotrophs, which example blue-green algae. So, this resulted in the formation of an oxygen-rich environment by 2 billion years ago. Then after that, from this kind of prokaryotes, these are all the prokaryote students, from these prokaryotes only, eukaryotes appeared. Eukaryotes then appeared from the prokaryotes. Eukaryotes then appeared from the prokaryotes. There are two theories actually to explain how the prokaryotes have given rise to how from prokaryotes eukaryotes are produced. Okay. So, one theory is saying that after prokaryotes eukaryotes appeared. Eukaryotes formation is explained by two theories. One theory is explaining that due to infolding of the membrane of prokaryotes, due to infolding of the membranes of prokaryotes, internal membrane bound organelles. Membrane bound organelles have developed. Organelles developed. Okay. In that way, eukaryotes are produced. Due to infolding of the membrane of the prokaryotes, internal membrane bound organelles appeared, that is eukaryotes appeared. The eukaryotic feature is the presence of membrane bound cell organelles. Because of the infolding of the membrane of the prokaryotes, internal membrane bound organelles developed, that is one theory. And the other theory regarding the formation of eukaryotes is saying that some prokaryotes, they accidentally entered into the eukaryotes. Some prokaryotes, they accidentally entered into the eukaryotes and they have completely remained inside the body of those other prokaryotes, like for example the chloroplasts and mitochondria. Okay. Some prokaryotes entered other prokaryotes body and remained there like for example mitochondria and chloroplasts. Mitochondria and chloroplasts, they have their own DNA, they have their own mechanisms for replication, right. So it was then believed that some prokaryotes might have accidentally entered into other prokaryotes body and resulted in the formation of the eukaryotes. Like for example, presence of mitochondria and chloroplasts is proving this theory to be most appropriate one. Okay. In that way, eukaryotic organisms also evolved. So students, this is about origin of life. Next concepts related to evolution we will learn in our next classes. Thank you all for joining the class today. We will meet in the next class.